Bannon, a former advisor to Donald Trump, was released from prison early Tuesday morning, a source familiar with the matter reported.
Bannon was freed from federal custody shortly after 3 a.m., the source said.
Authorities are investigating the murder of a 33-year-old woman at a luxury resort in the Hamptons.
Staff at the Shosugi Ban House discovered Sabina Rosas from Brooklyn, New York, deceased in a guest room on Monday afternoon, Suffolk County Police confirmed.
Iran has carried out the execution of German-Iranian detainee Jamshid Sharmad, who was accused of heading a U.S.-based terror group and convicted on disputed terror charges.
This is the fulfillment of a divine promise regarding those who support terrorism, Iran's judiciary declared as it announced the execution.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of
this again. So, when are these guys gonna give up?
We got a cup of coffee in here, please.
Yeah, well, coffee here, please. Wait, have you had enough? Yeah.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
No, he's not. Oh, you know what? That needs a little boinky over there. You need a little boinky.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Boinky to schmoinky.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine.
No.
Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well,
I don't really want anything.
We've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
I give myself Katushkins, I tell you. What do I say? What do I do? What am I doing over here? Did I do this already? I think I did it. I don't know. I don't care. What difference does it make? Give up. No point in going on. Life is one dreary, bad experiment in depression and anxiety and stress. Oh, hello. Good morning. Wait, what is he doing?
You've got a dog.
See that? I got to see because he wasn't looped. Hello. How are you? It's Thursday. It's Thursday, October 31st, which is Diwali. First day of Diwali. I don't know if it's the first. Diwali, does it run? Is like one of them holidays that runs for like a while? I don't know, but it says on the calendar Diwali. So Diwali and the Beaver. I don't know. It's also Halloween. In case if you come around here trick-or-treating, you better bring a gun. Because if you come to my door, there's going to be trouble. That's all I'm saying. Other than that, it's shitty and rainy and cold. And, well, not rainy, but it feels like it might rain. And I have to drive 100 miles to go do a nursing home show. In the midst of kids, trick-or-treat, and I just hate it. I'm just a curmudgeonly old man who just hates everything. And I'm overstressed by this ridiculous election nonsense that's going on. I want to start by saying we have a badge. Now, YouTube, or not YouTube, it's vidIQ. It's given me this badge that says we reached 5 million viewers yesterday. When, in fact, we reached 5 million viewers a month ago. September 30th, but it's saying the date is October 30th, and it just kind of passed it on to me. I'll share this with you, blah, blah, blue, on social media, blah, blah, blue. Yeah, so we're about, honestly, I think we're at 53,000, 5.3 million, 53,000. If that were the case, I would just shoot myself. Well, I might shoot myself anyway, just for the fun of it. But just 5.3 million, I think, is where we're at now. But the badge from vidIQ, a little bit late, I guess. And, I guess it's impressive, right? For a little channel like mine, to have 5 million. I guess that's impressive, right? 5 million douchebag. I mean, 5 million lovely people, not garbage, not Puerto Ricans, certainly not Puerto Ricans, or any other form of garbage. You see Trump in his garbage truck. Now, let me just tell you something about Trump and his. You may not know this, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't know this. Why would you know this? But in my youth, Garbage Man. Yes, Garbage Man was one of my first vocations. Yes, I was a garbage man. And here's the thing. Well, it's kind of mobbed up to begin with. Here on Long Island in New Jersey, the sanitation, I don't want to call it an industry because in that industry, I'm shot, man. But the sanitation industry is run by guys, little Soprano-ish type of operations going on. Anyway, one of my very first jobs, and my brother did it for many years. Garbage man, a sanitation worker, a garbage man, a man made of garbage. Nobody in all my years, and still to this day, if I go out and check now, honestly, my garbage men, I think, are illegal immigrants. Just putting that out there. They don't wear that fucking orange vest that makes you look like you're a fucking road cone. That I don't know. It's like his mommy dressed him for garbage day or something. Jesus. And second of all, or third of all, I don't know where I am. Maybe it's ninth of all. I don't know how many points I've made or if I made any points yet. You don't sit in the truck with the driver. You grab onto the back of the truck and you're there holding on for dear life while you by the hopper with the smell of the garbage in your face as you drive along on a hot day. Even when it's not a hot day, it's a hot day when you're on the garbage truck. And then you lift the cans. Now, I would love to see this. Little Donnie in his little fucking plastic vest there that mommy put on him. I'd like to see him buck a few cans. And if you don't know what bucking is, obviously you never worked on a garbage truck. Bucking is when you take the can just like that. You can't see this on the radio, but I'm grabbing like with my hands on top of the cans. Now you're wearing gloves, hopefully, or you're going to just get like people's shitty garbage all over your hands all day long. But you lift it up with just your forearms and your wrist like a man. And if you can buck, you're one of the men on the garbage truck. Now, I will say that most of it is fueled by amphetamines, like lots of amphetamines. Who's from Southampton, New York is calling me? Probably some Puerto Rican garbage man or something. Stop. Just hang up, please. You're annoying me. All right, I'm just, but I don't think Trump, even with two hands, could lift a garbage can and like dump it in the sissy man type of way. But I want to see him buck a few. Yeah, you want to prove you're a tough guy? First of all, take off that vest that mommy put on you and let me see you buck a few cans. He can't do that. He's not a man. You know what? Most of the people I know who ever did that, they're Trump supporters, and they think he's going to save the world. He's the Messiah. He's Captain Fried Maker one day, garbage man the next day. Although, again, what kind of sissy man thinks he's getting in the camp? And then also, he looked like a fucking guy trying to leave the bar at 3 o'clock in the morning, couldn't find the door handle. But no, he's your guy. You see how I'm overstressed here? Do you see this? Today, Jonathan Bernstein is back. He's got a book called Election Day. Here's his thing. He wants to make an election day a national holiday. And I say, for fucking what? For fucking what? You got to have that fucking in there. For fucking what? Everybody's voted already. On election day, there's going to be 3 people left who haven't voted yet. You want to make that a holiday? Anyway, he's got a little Dopey Where's Waldo type book that's about election day, and we'll talk about that. But I'm going to be angry with him. And then in the second hour, we have somebody I'm going to be even more angry with. What the hell is his name? Dalton Picanapaka. I'm sorry. I should know my guest names. Here's the thing with Dalton. Dalton packing packing your fudge. Holy moly! Don't mind me, folks. I just walked in. I'll leave. Dalton Packin, who is a TikTok comic. No, back in my day, and granted, I'm old, very old, but back in my day, you weren't a comic or a comedian if all you were was making little 1-minute videos at home. You had to actually go to a comedy club or a place and perform comedy. Could be a theater, could be, but you didn't just, I don't know. Anyway, this is what he did. Now, he booked on the show months ago. And then when I sent him the link on Sunday, he said, "So when you want to do this, bro?" So he's going to be in the second hour. So it's going to be a fun day, right? For you, you're going to watch me have aneurysms, maybe a stroke. And what the hell, Bayport? Why are you calling me? I know why they're calling me. Because I've been doing all these fucking political surveys. And they all want to have a follow-up call with me. That's definitely who this is. They want to know how I feel about Hillary Clinton. I hate Hillary Clinton. I always hated Hillary Clinton. But you know the thing? I voted for Hillary Clinton. You know why? Because that's how fucking bad Trump was. So bad that I was willing to vote for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Do you get my drift here? You people are ruining the world. You're ruining the world, you fucking red hat retards. I'm sorry, did I just call you garbage? Does that hurt? Does that hurt your feelings? Are you going to cry now? Why don't you go work on the back of a fucking garbage truck? Anyway, how about our sponsors, Opus Clips is the sponsor, but I'm not playing you their commercial because I'm too lazy to fix their commercial with their copyrighted music that I'm not allowed to use. So just go to Opus Clip, sign up, make some AI videos, and so people can hate on you like they hate on me. You could do that. Or you can also go to Daily High Club and just get high. Get just blown out, stoned out of your mind. And maybe that'll make you feel better about your job on the back of a garbage truck. Anyway, the dog pound is waiting for me to click this.
With humble East Coast beginnings in 2015, Daily High Club is the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and consumption accessories. If you're looking to elevate your smoking game to the next level, you're in the right place. With over 1 million top-quality smoking products sold, and with a growing base of over 10,000 monthly subscribers worldwide, we deliver the ultimate smoking experience. But Daily High Club is not just a retailer, we're lovers of the smoking scene ourselves, working with giants like Tommy Chong, Snoop Dogg, Chanel West Coast, and more. Ready to join the Daily High Club? Let our experts curate your collection with our awesome El Primo monthly subscription box, or grab one of our fun and unique pieces from our smoke shop. Click the link in the description below this video to get this party started now.
Exaggerating that. Now look at this. Almost everybody's kind of in the right place. What the hell happened here? Ladies and gentlemen, in the room with me now, a bald-headed, backwards face, Stephen, the one ball Ortiz. Oh, he's back. Oh, he's trying to do, he's being me for Halloween. I'm sorry. For people on the radio, Stephen, it looks very handsome this morning, in case you didn't know it. Ron Kane, who is even a little more curmudgeonly than me often, and very kinky and weird. And my worst enemy of the last 98 years, AB testing. Good morning, AB.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com.
Wait a minute. I got it. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com.
It's like James Earl Jones. Oh, I'm sorry.
Happy Halloween. Are you still looking for a costume at the last minute? You can put on your comfy shoes and your comfy clothes and go door to door as a canvasser. You can help out your favorite candidate, Kamala Harris, and get candy. Win-win. MindDogTV.com. Support your local mercenaries.
Wow. I can't look at Steven like that. He makes me want to just puke looking like that.
I know. Can't look at Matt either. He just makes me want to puke looking like that.
It's like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That voice, like James Earl Fenderson here.
Yeah.
What's up, man? Did you guys ever work on a garbage truck?
No, man, I had never worked on a garbage truck.
What do you mean? Why not? Is it below you? It's good? It's my grandfather was a sanitation worker in New York City. Now they didn't call them garbage men at that time. I don't know when they started calling them garbage men. That's kind of a degrading
Depends
title.
on the neighborhood you're in. See, if you're in a poor neighborhood, those guys that drive by, they have steady jobs, so they are sanitation workers. But if you're in a rich neighborhood, they're just the people who take your trash out, so they're garbage men.
All right, garbage men. Nobody ever the trash man. Willie Nelson called him trash man in what's the name of that song? Last thing I needed first thing this morning was to have you walk out on me. That's kind of a long fucking title for a song, but in there he says the trash men left all the trash on the sidewalk. So
disrespectful.
Yeah. How about that for a song title? The last thing I needed the first thing this morning was to have you walk out on me. That's too You can't fit that on 45.
You should have seen the long version before he shortened it.
Speaking of long.
Yeah.
I was trying to segue somehow.
Segues are weird.
Yeah. Jonathan Bernstein is back. He's got his little coloring book, election day book. His thing is, and we're about to introduce him in here. His thing is making election day a holiday, right? Oh, look at Ron taking over the captain's seat. Making election day a national holiday. But I believe that by the time Tuesday gets here, everybody except me and Jonathan will have voted. So why make it a national holiday if it's just me and Jonathan Bernstein who are waiting to vote on Tuesday? Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Welcome
Good
back.
morning, Jonathan.
I feel like
good morning, good morning, everybody. Yeah, Stephen, GD. I actually wasn't on with the pervert before. This is new for me. I saw everybody else, so let's see what we got to say here.
Yeah. Now, did you get my point about? Because I went to early vote. I went to look at the early voting place, and the line was like 2 miles long, and that was on Saturday. And I'm thinking everybody, by the time election day gets here, everybody will have voted. So it's not like election day anymore. It's election month. Have you considered rewriting the book and calling it election month and giving us a whole month off?
Yeah, that's an excellent proposal. I read that 50 million people had voted, which is close to a third of the total. So I think in the last election, which was the highest turnout ever, there were 162 million who voted. So 50 is not bad, right? It's close.
Yeah. So is this going to be the way it is from now on?
I don't know. On the other end, there are very few bipartisan topics right now. And one of them is election day as a holiday, right? So 80% of Democrats favor this, 70% of Republicans favor this. It's the kind of thing that is waiting to happen. And because there's nothing else that we can agree on, this might be one thing that we could start the bipartisan future with.
Right.
Now, what is the Green Party's stance on election day?
On election day as a holiday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're. Are they in the game here in this country?
I don't even know if they exist anymore. I was just curious. Jill Stein's doing something out there.
Changed the name of the party to Papusatuk Party.
The thing, it's a great question in a sense because in other countries, like for example, Germany, they need to have a majority to have a government. So right now they have the current party in Germany is what they call the traffic light party. Oddly enough, it's red, green, and yellow. So there's the sort of the social Democrats. There's the libertarians. It's the yellow, socials, the red, and the green party. All together, they make more than 51%. And when you have three parties together making decisions, you actually have less extreme positions than, for example, we have. So some people have said that the process that we have, this sort of Democrat versus Republican thing, isn't actually as democratic in some ways as some other systems.
So what just happened? Ron got angry that Stephen got the first question in, and he stormed off.
I think he's pissed off because he realized that when he voted for the Green Party, when he early voted, he wasted a vote.
Ron doesn't seem like a green guy to me. He doesn't seem.
He seems more like a white guy.
No, he's a brown guy. Believe me, he may look white, but he's brown
guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, John, I was wondering as far as what you're talking about, 80% of the people, 80% Democrats, 70% of the Republicans would like to see Election Day become a holiday.
Yeah.
Did they ever survey people who don't vote to see if they would maybe even vote if it were a holiday?
Yeah, that's another great question. Americans who actually are registered. So there's a couple different groups here. So you can talk about the Americans who are registered to vote and then don't vote, and then the other ones who are not registered to vote and don't vote, and then there's a third group which are just not eligible to even register to vote, right? So it's a little bit. There's all kinds of different groups. I think that each group kind of deserves its own bit of attention as far as what happens and why aren't they voting. The U.S. is I believe 31st out of 49 or 50 nations that are OECD advanced countries as far as voter participation. So we're not doing that well, even if we've had greater turnout this past 2020 cycle, and people think that it'll be even more on a percentage basis for this cycle. Even so, we're still way behind. So why that is a complicated question.
Let me ask you this: Does making it a federal holiday mandate that businesses give you the day off with pay?
Presumably, if it's a federal holiday, yes. Right now, there are certain rules in some states that require people having a day off with pay. I think there are 20 odd states that require that. Then there are another 20 states that give you a day off without pay. And it's just a kind of a hodgepodge right now. And that would be the advantage of having something more, why?
I think most people who say they wanted a national holiday, that's what they're thinking. Sure, I could use another day off with pay. Tuesday?
Yeah, let's go.
There you go. Yeah. I don't care about politics. I just want another day off. This is the American way. If we truly looking for what makes us American, it is the love of a day off with pay.
Okay, that's a popular proposal. Then no, I agree. There's an element of that, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a great campaign slogan would be 365 days off with pay.
I'm down. Vote for GD.
Let's do it. Yeah. GD for president. Let's go.
Yeah. But I think that, to the point, I think those people who aren't voting, there's a day off is just going to make them even lazier. Like they're not voting because they're just too friggin' lazy. It's not like they want to complain about it, but I got to go all the way there and the ballot and whatever. Even the mail-in voting is too much work. So I don't care. You could give them a week off. They're just going to say, well, now I got a week off. It's just still too lazy to go vote.
Well, that's a valid thing. I mean, what is the status of our election day responsibility? Is it a thing where we have some kind of duty or responsibility, or is it more just, I want to do it, I feel like it, it seems fun? I mean, what is the status of that? I don't think people really know. I don't think there's a consensus there. And the other thing about it is that it's really not like anything else. It's not like you have the relationship to Mr. Trump or Ms. Harris there. I don't think it's like anything else in your life, right? It's not like your neighbor. You don't have a relationship with them like your neighbor. It's not a relationship like your soccer coach or what is the basis that we even make a decision about this kind of thing? I don't think
Well,
there's any sense of what. So the idea of a holiday with election day would be that we formulate some ways of thinking about our politicians other than just nothing.
all right, I'm down with it. I'm going to officially endorse Jonathan's campaign for making Election Day a holiday with
I too
time
am going to
time and
endorse
a
it.
half off for me. Um,
I want
but
double time off.
okay, take off that dopey mustache before I smack you.
Oh no, this is attached. If I rip this off, this is taking my real mustache with it.
Real mustache. And you talk about because the attachment, the emotional attachment to the personalities, I think has become a driver. I think it started in my lifetime. It started with Reagan. Maybe it started with Kennedy, but I was too young to notice it. But Reagan had this cult following, people who loved him. Then Clinton had a similar thing where people just loved him. It got even more significant with Barack Obama. I think with Donald Trump, it's off the charts. Jim Jones, just people are just I don't know how people.
I was a Bob Dole guy myself, but whatever.
It was that was even before you were born, you little liar. Anyway, I do think the motivation for people going out is about personality now. It's not necessarily about issues. It's not even so much about party affiliation, although there is that. I think it's become my Uncle Donnie is running for president. I have to go out and support him, help keep him out of jail. I don't know. I have not taken a poll.
I honestly think it's more projection. I don't think it's it's because
what do you mean?
When you think about, well, for example, Donald Trump is he's not a businessman. He's not a successful businessman. Okay, he's a cheat. He's a grifter. He's basically an adulterer. He's an unregistered sex offender. He's a convicted felon. Now, those are his good points. He's also stolen documents that were top secret. Okay, so he's a risk to national security. But his followers don't see any of that, or they do see it and they project onto him like, well, everybody's crooked. This is our crooked guy. So it's not it's not based on facts. It's just and the same even with Kamala Harris. Okay, it takes a great deal of ego to say you're ready to run the country. Okay, now true that she's being graded differently than Donald Trump. She is actually more qualified than he is to do the job. But when people look at her, they
so
still
is
see.
Steven, so is Ron, so is Jonathan.
Well, yeah, but I actually had more. I have more civic knowledge than Trump. That doesn't count. But Harris, she being the projection on her is that she's, at least from the right, basically she's a woman. And so whatever goes with that, even things like, well, she's going to have her period. No, she's beyond that. She's 60 years old. So they just project things on her without really knowing. People just project.
Every day we bring the quality of this show and the legitimacy of the show down one more notch.
I don't know.
This show was ever legitimate?
What's surprising is that there's still another notch to bring it down. But
this may bring it down further, but first of all, I don't really know. Do people watch your show to get this election, information, or because they want to get away from it all? Right? Do they want to?
Yes.
They feel that they're trying to, because it's on everybody's mind. Like you talk all this stuff. I mean, in other words, you talked about garbage, whatever it is. But are people trying to forget what's happening?
I think they want to, but in the same sense, they want to reinforce. Because we had a guy on who has a book, Outrage Overload, and a lot of this is outrage becomes addictive, and so we want to forget about it, but at the same time, it's like my heroin addiction. I want to get off it, but hey, he's got some good stuff over there, and there's a good deal going on today, and I feel like getting high. It's like it doesn't ever. I go out and get it, not me. I'm just saying.
No, it's true. Yeah. He does. He gets it from the Ace Hardware parking lot.
No,
this show is for people who wake up fully aroused and ready to go.
Yes, sir. Spit on that thing.
I wish I knew a few more of those. On to JD's question, though, to GD, it's like, as far as I remember with Trump, he was just some kind of like New York eccentric, right? He wasn't anybody that anybody paid great attention to. He was a sort of a weirdo. You know, he had something to do with real estate. He fixed the rink that people couldn't fix. I mean, sort of not a very compelling, certainly not a cult figure. I mean, Reagan, you brought up Reagan. Reagan, that's a sort of was a cult figure in his time, and I guess Clinton developed that. But how did Trump become this kind of cult figure? Isn't he just a sort of
The Apprentice? I think.
No, you're not from New York, are you, Jonathan? You're living in the Northwest. You've been in, I believe, in New Orleans or something. But you're originally a San Francisco guy, or like a West.
No, I was born in New York City.
Oh, you what?
I was born in Columbia Presbyterian, up in the north there.
So you wouldn't know that it started here with this Central Park thing. They made this big thing out of, because he was a kid at the time, just out of school or whatever, and they held him up like he solved something government has been working on for 30 years and they couldn't do it, which is not, the mob did it. He didn't do it, but there was this kind of lifting up of him as a celebrity. He was very good at keeping his name in the press in the 80s and 90s. It was constantly like making phone calls to magazines and making sure he was, spreading stories about him dating Madonna and all this kind of stuff. That and television, and David Letterman would just pop in on him and do all these things, and Howard Stern, and so he worked the media into this kind of thing in New York where they kind of had a false impression of him. And listen, I got to go here, because when Hitler, I know, you can't compare him to Hitler. In this sense, you absolutely can. Hitler spent years trying to figure out how to use image to manipulate people, and he was taking those all those stage photos of him looking like a tough guy and all that stuff. They were media manipulation, and Donald Trump learned that very young. Roy Cohn helped model that kind of for him, but so that's how he became a cult figure. Here, where I live, people still believe he's the most successful businessman who ever walked on the face of the earth.
How he got his following, especially out where I'm at, is he made this appeal that I'm the anti-politician. I'm just like you guys.
Talking about 2016, but I'm going back to 1980.
I mean the MAGA movement, because the MAGA movement, I feel like, is what tipped it from a cult following, like what you'd like a small like cult following, like you would for like a bad movie, to dangerous cult following where it's borderline gang related.
But I do think it evolved. I think Reagan had it. Like if you criticize Reagan, there would be people who would close friends, family would disown you. You're criticizing my mother or father. It got even more exaggerated with Clinton, and even more so. I lost friends over Barack Obama, but not like to the point where I am with Donald Trump. But I think it's become escalating, this cult of personality in our elected officials. People become so attached to them that you cannot criticize their policy. Anytime I criticize, like with Barack Obama, I criticized the using the IRS to target conservatives. You're a racist. I mean, so it now with Trump, basically you got TDS or whatever it is, but they treat it like you're addressing it at their family.
Have any of you ever been to a Donald Trump rally?
Yeah, I've been to one.
I was outside of one once, and it scared me.
Yeah, in 2016, I went to one. It was
Same.
It was terrible.
Yeah, it was really scary. I was out passing out libertarian literature, and I had never got cussed at more in my life than I did at the people waiting for the Trump rally. It was bad. They were like, "What the fuck is this? Get away from me!" And I'm like, "Whoa, homie, my bad. Chill out.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take your hat. I'm just trying to give you a piece of paper. Relax."
And you can't really talk about issue. You can't talk about what real. I come from an old school where you could talk about the actual issues. They bring up immigration, but what about immigration? And all that kind. They can't. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about he's the only one that can save us. he's the man. He's at that time. He's self-funded. No, he's forming a super PAC. He's not using any of his money. He's never used any of his money ever. You can't say that though, because that's a fact. But then they can't process that as a fact because he's too adored. Let's just believe the lies that he's self-funded. Self-funded. Why is he selling Bibles for $450 or $495? Whatever it is.
What's strange is of all the people who are adored that you can think of, right? So typically there's some kind of movie star type. I mean, sort of Brad Pitt or Denzel Washington. Good-looking guys. Women who are very compelling, very sexy. Donald Trump doesn't seem to have any of those characteristics. I mean, he's kind of at best, he's like a WWE guy.
Well, that's part of it. He was involved with them, but also The Apprentice built up this image of him as strong. You're fired, that kind of stuff. I think he's probably more typically the type of person, and I'm not singling him out. I think corporate America is becoming more like this. They fire you by email. Very few people have the balls to look you in the face and say you're fired anymore. But they built up this strongman image of him. People believe in television. I don't know, reality television. Even people who I know that reality TV is scripted, still bought into the myth of Donald Trump, strong businessman, and all that stuff. So. But that idea of you're fired. He must be a strong leader. He never, in real life, he said, "Fire that guy." But so that had a lot to do with building up the cult-like following too. Television, reality TV. Mark Burnett is largely responsible for it. Yeah. So anyway, now. With where we are, and I don't want to keep talking about the specifics of this coming election, but election day, let's say we get past this one. Let's just assume we're going to get past this one. America's going to survive this. In the future, do you think we're headed to a place where this is the norm, where everybody is voting before election day? And so what does it even mean to have an election day if we're voting for a month in advance now?
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to vote ahead of time. The reality is that you say if we get through this one, that's the key point, right? Because if you vote ahead of time or you don't, it's really what happens after election day. In the weeks and the months perhaps that go on after that really decides whether this is going to be considered a democracy or what we are, right? Because pretty much everybody thinks that this election day won't get finished as it used to get finished on election day night, right? And I think the last time it took, a week or something, a Saturday or Sunday when they decided who won. But if you look back at 2000, Bush v. Gore, that went on for, I guess, a couple of months, and the Supreme Court had to get involved. And it just seems like this election day, to go back to your original point, is more like an election month or more. But it's not the election month before November 5th. It's the election month after November 5th.
Right.
So that would be ideally we kind of move it to election day, and it would just be a day instead of a month before, a month after, whatever that is. But I see that seems to be the bigger issue, is what happens after these votes are cast rather than what happens before.
I agree, but you know what? If you're talking about 2000, first of all, the votes were all counted. The idea of, well, are we going to allow these hanging chads to be counted as part of it? But they knew what the tally was. The argument was, are we going to accept one side's claim or the other? And the Supreme Court went with Bush, of course. But I think last time in 2016, I'm pretty sure I have this correct, that Trump had put in place, we're not going to allow them to start counting the votes until after all the people who had voted at the polls, all the polls were closed, even the early voting. And that delayed it it took 5 days. Now, people are projecting that this one could take as much as 2 weeks. I think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and GD, I think, knows better than me, and you might know better than me. I think they have started tallying or counting the early votes this time. Is that, do you know if that's true or not?
Yeah, they have. But I mean, I think the problem is that once you've cast a shadow on the legitimacy of the voting process or the legitimacy of the elections, as has now been done. You could say it started with Bush v. Gore. I remember nothing before Bush v. Gore. But let's say it started with Bush v. Gore. It certainly accelerated, the last election in 2020 when the main candidate in the Republican Party hasn't acknowledged that he's even lost the vote, even now, right? But once you do that, then you open it up to all kinds of potential issues, lawsuits, and so on. I mean, you were just asking the last time I was here about, the competency issue. So about mental health and whether people who are mentally ill and so on could vote. I mean, nobody's broached that yet, but obviously once you start saying, look, this is an illegitimate election, people are voting who shouldn't be voting, I mean, where's the limit on that, right? You could say, well, this guy's disabled, he was voting, he shouldn't have been voting. This guy has Alzheimer's, he clearly had to have somebody else help him along the way. This guy stayed there they said the polls open for 3 minutes after it should have been closed by then. He voted then. I mean, you have a whole set of questions that just emerge, and there's just, how our legal system is. I mean, any possible wedge, into that legitimacy becomes a giant problem. So there's 100 ways to attack the legitimacy of a vote, and it seems like right now we're at that point where people are doing that. And so how will it actually play out? I don't know. But once people don't accept the result, it just so happens that our legal system permits all kinds of, questions and all kinds of suits and any of those things. As you say, if Mr. Trump is this sort of master of politics and a master of media, any one of those certain issues, that guy shouldn't have voted could become a giant issue.
Right.
Do you think it's because the MAGA people are so self-hating? I mean, because they are a very large gay and anti-gay group. I mean, they identify as men for anal, getting anal, and they love Grindr, especially in the city of Milwaukee. So do you think there's just so much self-hate because it's like they just want to bang guys and swallow, but then they have this old man who's like, I don't know.
How come you're not even giggling a little bit? Come on.
Who, me?
No, GD.
Oh, GD.
It's like he's hearing Ron say his stuff, and he doesn't even crack a smile, like not a little bit.
What are you doing?
What he said.
You're supposed to be my best friend of the last 37 and a half years. You're not laughing.
You could listen to they want to swallow and not crack a smile. All right, go ahead.
Because he has a point. I'm listening to his point. I'm giving him the seriousness that he deserves.
There you go. I think he
lost the seriousness at anal.
The old joke is that people hated Donald Trump so much that they're willing to vote for a candidate they hate even more. Like, that's
yeah. But I don't know. I'm not sure gayness or homosexuality is the number one issue. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that's the top issue people are worried about. What I'm worried about, my number one issue that I'm worried about, is this idea of this election is one side wants to be a president, the other side wants to be a king, and has literally petitioned the Supreme Court for that right to be a king, and the Supreme Court said yes. So now coming back to your idea of lawsuits and recounts and all that stuff that will slow down the process and create more anxiety post-election, I think the Supreme Court, if there is any question, and the Supreme Court has to come into account here, I'm pretty sure I know which way the Supreme Court's going to go, and that feels like, that's not the founders of this country and whoever dreamed it up never intended the Supreme Court to select the president, and I think we've seen that happen once in 2000. We're probably likely to see that again, or at least on some some measure of probability. I don't know if it's 50, 70, whatever the probability is, but I do think the courts are going to get involved. And if it goes to the Supreme Court, I think there's no question about how they're going to choose. So, this whole thing about making an election, if it comes to that, and I don't think, I honestly don't think if it does come to that there will ever be a need for an election again, because once you proclaim a man have absolute immunity and can do whatever he wants over the courts, over the legislation, can do whatever he wants with complete impunity, why even bother with an election? He just named his son the successor, or J.D. Vance the successor, or whatever. Any thoughts on that? Will, I know you're probably going to disagree with me on this being the very last election day if he wins.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to look at it that way, why not just make the Supreme Court the one that decides the president?
That's exactly what my point was. It's like, why, if there is another election, why do we even bother letting the people get involved? Just ask the court, like, who's president next?
Or just let's get rid of the people voting and just make the Electoral College vote, right?
Yeah.
Because it's technically that anyway.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem here, by the way, from the voting standpoint, is that even if you don't know which party to vote for, or, you don't have an opinion, I guess that's possible to not have an opinion. What I think people have sort of forgotten is that if people just don't vote, like literally, like right now we have 62% of voters who can, are voting, which is less than half of all Americans, of course, right? So because of people who are too young or whatever it is. So if you don't vote at all, right, then imagine everybody doesn't vote. Then the democracy that you have in place, even if all the rules are perfect, which everybody knows they aren't, becomes meaningless. Right. So it's just not a question of, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I feel like this, I feel like that. It's truly a question of holding on to this system of government. Right. And if you like the system of government at all, which I think everybody does.
I don't think so. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but I think part of the problem is because people were so fed up with the two-party system. And I know I have Trump supportive friends who say they just want, the reason they're behind him really is because they wanted to burn the whole fucking thing down, the whole way it worked, the way that the illusion of choice was present. They don't really, again, comes down to, I don't care about the issues. He represents anti-establishment in their minds, and burning the whole two-party system down. I crave days when we could argue about issues, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, and find some common ground in between those two. And I was a very anti-two-party person, but I wanted more parties, not less parties. I think we're headed towards dictatorship, authoritarianism, but I think they're okay with that because they were not happy with the system.
And I want no parties. I want no political parties. We should be straight up issues and get rid of the Electoral College. Plain and simple.
You may say he's a dreamer. And he's the only one.
We need anarchy.
He's the only one.
I mean, you look at it a slightly different way. So, for example, and you have countries where there is a dictator, right? And in some ways, the population, in many cases, is pretty well aligned. They're all kind of aligned against the dictator. I know they're, in Russia, you have, certain people who are Putin's popular in some ways, and depending on who's doing the polls. But I can tell you that a lot of people, the vast majority of people in Russia right now, are not happy with Putin, right? And that gives, and if you don't like that example, certainly in the Soviet Union, you had 90+% of the people that were not in favor of this system and this party. So you have an incredible thing happening from the standpoint of the people, which is that there's this huge agreement. Everybody agrees that this is the wrong setup, right? And there's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of shared experience. There's a lot of, sort of secret opposition. And when you get Russians coming to the US, for example, they're sort of disappointed that you can think whatever you want and everybody thinks different things because they miss this sort of communal opposition to politicians.
Right.
So in a way, the fact that we have a situation where we do have polarization, which everybody complains about, and fair enough, rightly so. We like to have more than just this Democrat versus Republican thing, and one head versus another. In another sense, it is kind of the democratic situation. Like it's a messy system. We are fighting each other, and in a sense, that's sort of how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The founders envisioned this level of fighting each other. I mean, again, I long for the days where, listen, Ronald Reagan, who was a Democrat, converted to a Republican, he was, by the time he got president, staunchly against the Democratic Party, but he still found a way to work with them, reach across the aisle, and really get things done. And so I long for those days where we could be separate but equal at equal strengths and willing to work with each other even after the opposition got voted in and all that. But it doesn't seem. It seems like we've wrecked that. And the question I have for you: you mentioned Putin. Do you think all these enemies of America, Putin, all these people, they're celebrating watching us go through this right now? They're happy. They're having a big party. Yes.
Well, no, because you see, people still look to the U.S. as some kind of democracy, as flawed as we are, right? They don't really want to see us fail. It's like, if you look at Ceausescu, right? This sort of strongman. Maybe that's what some people think that we're going to become, the Romanian strongman. Nobody liked the guy, right? They look to the U.S. to say, well, let's have something like that. In Syria, are they happy? In Pakistan, are they happy? I don't think so, right? Because their idea is that there's something better, and if it's just going to be more of that, I think America loses appeal, sort of popular appeal worldwide. So
I agree with you on that note, like the people, the citizens of these countries, but I think the leaders, I think if you say that Putin doesn't want to see America destroyed, I think you're not necessarily completely to the ashes, but to the point where he could take it over. I think he would love that. I think the same thing with Z. There are lots of people who are celebrating this. I think the people in power, not necessarily the citizenship of those countries. So I don't know. So do you think? Have you heard from anybody who said this book has released your book Election Day, which electiondaybook.com, folks, has anybody said this has made it my way of dealing with the anxiety and stress that and division that we're all going through? This has made things better for me. Anybody say that to you?
I think people say it's a good book usually.
Because you asked if people come here for an escape or they want to hear about this stuff, and I would think the same thing with your book. Do they want an escape, and it certainly makes it look like it might be like more amusing than stressful. But are you stressed?
I'd say here's the thing. I'm old. If you just ask about me, I'm old, and if the whole country falls apart, it's sort of personally, I don't know if it matters at all, right? It's just
that's a selfish way of looking at it, and that's the way I look at it too.
We reap the benefit of the good years, and that's it, right? But I feel definitely that I share some responsibility for what's happened and maybe what will happen, and in that sense, I'm stressed out. So I don't feel any stress like in that way that people talk about it, like, oh, I'm biting my nails, I'm stressed. But maybe that's an example of selfishness, or
yeah. Well,
stress is so identified with me and like my strain and my struggle and my experience. That's what people usually talk about. And in that sense, I'm not stressed at all.
Now, I'm a little bit stressed, but only because I've been through the Republican administration where I was on the watch list and my phones were tapped, and I don't like that. I don't like having that in my life. So,
your phones were tapped? I never heard this part. Well, your phones were tapped?
Yeah.
Why? What were you doing?
Oh, what do you mean? What was I doing? I was talking on the phone and they were tapped. What do you mean?
Like tapped?
It just was doing a
No,
Bush
because my phones
administration.
were tapped, but we knew why they were tapped. There was a good reason they were tapped, and it was because there was a lot of illegal gambling going on in my home.
Yeah.
So usually when your phones are tapped, there's a reason. That's what I'm getting at.
I was
what
considered
was
a dissident. I was opposed to the Iraq War, but I was also writing letters. I
Well,
letters
good
to
for
the White
you.
House.
You got to be pretty. You got to be pretty making a dent, or if they even know about you enough to care about you to tap your phones, you're somebody. It's like a comedy thing. If they're
let's put it this
booing,
way.
at least they're not ignoring you.
I had friends in the DOD, and they used to be. I used to talk with them on the phone a lot, and I get this phone call, and I'm sorry. I call and he says, "Let me call you right back." And he calls me back from a different phone because I called him at work. And he calls me back from a different phone. He goes, "Do me a favor, don't call here anymore." And he tells me this is what's going on. And he wasn't the only one. And then we picked up the patterns. So I started fucking with him.
You sure this is not just paranoia? Because
no,
in my case, we knew that because I heard the tapes. The FBI played the tapes for my mother and father. I mean, so we knew that the wiretap was real. Usually, when there is a wiretap,
right,
you get physical evidence of it at some point.
Right, unless it's one of those things where it just goes away when the administration changes. Because believe me, I didn't have the wherewithal to find out. I didn't have the resources. Let's say
Ron Kane is looking like, what the fuck is TD talking about?
I think I may have mentioned it to Ron once or twice before, but I'm not certain.
Oh, Ron's going to say because he's so fucking homophobic that he really just wants to swallow.
But the point is that it's like not every, I'm old also. I don't want to go. I don't want my last year or 4 years. Let's say I only have 4 years left. I don't want my last 4 years me be watching over my shoulder, worried about what's going on my phone. Am I being watched again because somebody's got a bug up their ass?
I don't think that changes with administration. I mean, I'm pretty sure the NSA has been recording every cell phone call since 2000, probably 2001. But I don't think that has stopped because ever since the Defense of America Act was put in place. I don't think that changed with any administration. I think that's an ongoing thing, but that's
now they're basically, but they're collecting metadata right now, as opposed to listening to all these phone calls. There's metadata they're collecting, as opposed to actually listening to phone calls, which is slightly different.
All right, I think they're recording or archiving everything, but I do think there's lots of metadata and categorizing and looking for keywords and stuff like that.
Keywords and patterns. Yeah, keywords and patterns. Right. Yeah.
Right. So don't say bombing on this program, or they might listen.
Right.
So did you check your beeper? Check your beeper.
So, Jonathan, is going to be a sequel to this book?
Actually,
updates, I should say amendments, updates.
Well, there probably should be. I don't think it's a perfect book. There's a lot of things I'd like to change on it already. But there will be, separate from this book, a number of other books about the same cast of characters on other holidays that are already holidays, real holidays. So this is sort of aspirational to make Election Day a holiday, but July 4th is already a holiday, right? So, or Thanksgiving, that's already a holiday. So we're going to have. Sorry.
I said for white people. I celebrate Juneteenth, but that's okay. No.
Well, no. There you go. I mean, those books haven't been written yet, right? So Juneteenth, yeah, why not? Like Juneteenth, the holiday, that is a federal holiday, is it not? I believe it is.
Well, yeah. Everybody celebrates July 4th. I'm just saying, it's
I'm just surprised he didn't bring up Black Friday as his big day that he celebrates.
Well, he's not Jewish.
I mean, the thing about it is, yeah, right. Black Friday. I mean, it's a little bit creative what exactly constitutes a holiday. So maybe Black Friday could be a holiday. People love that. Juneteenth, that's already a holiday. Anyways,
Actually, Black Friday is a holiday in regards that a lot of companies will give you the day after Thanksgiving off, even though it's not because of Black Friday. It's usually because they know people are too drugged up on tryptophan to hopped up on tryptophan to come to work.
I thought Black Friday is when all the MAGA people celebrate BBC. Is that true?
Fucking idiot.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. I'm sorry to say to put you through that.
Ron, I think it's observe, not celebrate. I think they observe it.
That's voyeurism.
Yeah, we do need to wrap this up. electiondaybook.com. Now, do you think, and this is from just a personal question about, you think you really are in a rush to sell as many of these books by Tuesday, because Wednesday it kind of people's interest will be gone?
Actually, no. I think when we were here last, you said there's an election every day. Somebody was saying that there's election every day.
Yeah,
in America.
there's an election every day. Yes,
I mean, there's a election day as a national phenomenon as once every 2 years.
I'm sorry, not every day, every week. Every week there's an election.
Every week. I tried to verify that, by the way. I could not do it. I tried every way possible. I even had some bots doing some deep dives into how often there are elections in America. Couldn't find any data to support that claim. But
I have data to support it. I thought I sent it to you.
It's at least every 2 years, right? And then, as I say, this is supposed to be the first of a series of books. So it's more just kind of getting awareness about what's coming. The idea is the book itself is just the start of a larger idea, right?
All right, very cool. I hope it does well for you. I hope there is another election after this one. and not just a school board election, but an actual, a full governmental election. And I hope we go through many more elections. I don't have a lot of faith in it, which is why we wanted to talk to you again about this and see if you're making any difference with this. And also, I am very, very concerned about this. It's getting so watered down. If we're going to start voting early, we should start tabulating early so we can know. I think to the point you were making about the post-election anxiety, I think we have to deal with that more so, or as much so as the election itself, is not having this hang over our heads for a month after we voted and feel like we don't know the outcome of that. That's the worst place to be in for me. It just creates more anxiety. But anyway, we appreciate you.
When do you think this will be resolved? Like, when do you think that they'll actually have a candidate? Will it be by January 6th or after?
Well, a lot of people are saying, I actually think that by the morning of January, by November 6th, I think we'll have an idea of who won. Networks will be projecting the winners, right?
Right. Yes, they'll be projecting. Yeah,
that's never backfired.
And that's going to also depend on Well, Pennsylvania is one of the issues. Like, they can't start counting their early ballots until after the polls have closed. But other places can. But the only reason why Pennsylvania is special is because it's one of the battleground states. And that could swing it either way.
You mean like Gettysburg?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So when it will be resolved, that's a whole other thing, because we're talking about certifying, and some now some of the electors are saying at least this is a conjecture. I don't know how much to believe in this, but that some of the electors are saying they're not going to vote according to the popular vote. They're just going to vote according to their party rules, which is throwing everything. So when it actually gets resolved, this is the kind of question the Supreme Court gave the president the right and the power to do just about anything with complete immunity. Joe Biden, because he's an institutional man, is not going to accept that. I think at some level, it's either going to come down to president. Where we are at a constitutional crisis, it's either going to come down to the president or the courts deciding where this thing ends, and that's almost definitionally a constitutional crisis, because it's not what the Constitution was set up to do. When it gets resolved, who knows? I will be losing my mind from now until that moment when we and then maybe it gets worse after that. I don't know. So I don't know how to answer your question. My question is, I'm unsure. I don't know, and that's where the anxiety comes from, not knowing. I don't know. Do you have an idea? A thought on where it ends?
I think it's really hard to tell. I mean, I like what you're saying, that it ends technically at some point, but I think there's the potential for this to just go on, way into the future. In the same way that this election, the past election, there's some people who say it was fraudulent and all that. I mean, I can't really imagine that not happening again.
Yeah.
Right? This will probably be the second, potentially the second fraudulent election, in the U.S. So,
I mean, not like the Kennedy one where he stole when they have all the dead people voting, and Nixon stole at Kentucky. No, I'm trying. I can't remember which state Nixon stole, but Kennedy stole Illinois, and I think Nixon stole Kentucky or something like that. You don't mean like that kind of thing, right?
Right.
I mean, right. But realistically, when there's somebody new in power, and to just kind of where people think, okay, this is what's happened. Yeah, I hope that by Mardi Gras at least.
Now, personally, most of my anxiety comes from the idea that I did not set myself up that I could just go to Belize and not give a fuck, because that's what I would really like to do. It's like just not care. I just like to go to Belize where they speak English, they honor the American dollar. I could live on the beach there and die on the beach there. And
Belize, please.
Yes, that's what I want.
Well,
anyway,
you can still die on the beach there. That doesn't cost any money. Just you can still go there and die on the beach.
Yeah, I don't want to.
In fact, if you just,
I don't want to starve to
if you just jump out of the plane, land on the beach. No hotel needed, no transportation needed.
I think you need to take
right
some comedy lessons from Ron Kane. I really do. That's not funny.
Okay, you go there, you get fucked in the ass, and you come everywhere.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm not
sir,
sure.
Jonathan, I'm so sorry that you had to hear that. We were usually very much better hosts and have a better grasp of our language and stuff.
We got to get to the news. Jonathan, thank you for being here. We hope people do buy the book and find some escapism in the book, and maybe come with some fresh ideas. Thank you for being here. You're welcome back anytime you want to come back. If this hasn't completely turned you off to this idea, I mean, I like having these discussions. I don't think this went exactly the way I thought it might go today, but we appreciate you being here.
No, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me. It's
right. Election Day Book. ElectionDayBook.com.
We look forward to the sequel.
All right.
Yeah. Bye for now. Let me take the book out, and it's time to play news. When we after the news, we'll kind of try to recoup here and we come back.
Steve Bannon, a former advisor to Donald Trump, was released from prison early Tuesday morning, a source familiar with the matter reported.
Bannon was freed from federal custody shortly after 3 a.m., the source said,
noting
he intends to host his podcast in the morning, followed by a New York City press conference in the afternoon. His return to the public eye comes exactly 1 week before Election Day. Jim Kender reporting.
Iran has carried out the execution of German-Iranian detainee Jamshid Sharmad, who was accused of heading a U.S.-based terror group and convicted on disputed terror charges.
This is the fulfillment of a divine promise regarding those who support terrorism, Iran's judiciary declared as it announced the execution. Sharmad, 69, resided in Los Angeles and had been sentenced to death in Iran last year, though he and his family consistently denied the allegations. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Hezbollah announced that Nassim Qasem, currently its deputy secretary general, will assume the role of its new leader.
Qasem was elected to succeed longtime Hezbollah leader Sayed Hassan Nasrallah, concluding an extended succession crisis within the Iran-backed organization. Nasrallah was reportedly killed in Beirut last month in airstrikes that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu referred to as necessary. Joseph Eckerson reporting.
They all name their kids Benjamin. Everywhere in the Middle East,
the latest
there's always
news
a
headlines.
Benjamin.
Weird.
They all want, like Franklin Envy or something. What the hell, Benjamin?
No, that's what it translates to in English.
Evacuation orders for over 700 homes were in effect near the town of Divide, Colorado, as a wildfire continued to spread out of control. Colorado fire officials reported.
The Highland Lake fire, which ignited around 4 p.m. Monday, has grown to 166 acres and is still uncontained, according to Teller County Sheriff Jason Mikesell. Mikesell attributed the fire's expansion largely to intentional backfires set by firefighters to keep the flames from reaching homes and roadways. Kyle Norris reporting.
Authorities are investigating the murder of a 33-year-old woman at a luxury resort in the Hamptons.
Staff at the Shosugi Band House discovered Sabina Rosas from Brooklyn, New York, deceased in a guest room on Monday afternoon. Suffolk County Police confirmed. The resort is located in Watermill, positioned between Southampton and Bridgehampton. Jessica Oakley reporting.
David DePop was sentenced to life in prison without parole in his state trial for the hammer assault on Paul Pelosi.
A jury had found DePape guilty in June of charges including false imprisonment of an elder by violence or threat, residential burglary, threatening a family member of a public official, witness intimidation by force, and aggravated kidnapping. Before sentencing, DePape's attorneys requested a new trial, but the motion was denied. Lawrence Keller reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
It's not really the latest. So they're saying Bannon got exactly a week before Election Day. First of all, I think it's 4 days, right? If I count,
he got out on Tuesday, and the election is on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was out today. Maybe
no, he got out on Tuesday. Oh, come on, they wouldn't be announcing it today if he got out today. This is Alec Jones, whatever his name is. He's always 2 days behind. She's always close. Alan Edwards. She's always 2 or 3 days
not even
behind.
Close.
I'm just saying. But the point is, it's as close as his breaking news. It's 2-3 days behind. So yeah.
All right. That makes a little more sense. Yeah, whatever. I don't know where we're going with this. There was another news story I wanted to comment on, but I forgot now because of that. But I don't think
the new Hezbollah leader. The thing is, I didn't even realize they had an election. So I see they picked a new.
Haven't you read already. Election Day?
No, I didn't read the Arabic version.
Oh, okay.
Alan Edwards is always 3 days late, according to our chief late correspondent, Evil Ian. He's our chief late correspondent. I want to know, people in the chat room, or people in America, or anybody even not listening to this program, do you believe in certain stories?
Magic?
Do you believe that anywhere in America, children are going to school and getting sex change? Anybody out there, if answer yes or no, do you believe that there is any instance anywhere in America ever where a kid has gone to school and come home?
Private school or public school?
Opposite gender. Any school.
Catholic school?
The opposite. Had a sex change operation in school during that day, during a school day.
Parochial school. Are you including parochial schools?
I'm including
any and all schools.
School of fish.
Schools, universities.
I was going to say, see, and that's where I was going to go. In schools of fish, it does happen because sometimes genders do change because they need more males or more females.
Clownfish.
And so, yeah, in those cases, yes, you can actually go to school one gender and then come back.
Maybe you have a fucking hearing problem.
You said fish schools.
Wait, I said people in the chat room, people listening, a yes or no question. I did not say GD answer this with a soliloquy.
Hold on. You said people not listening. But you said people not. You said people not listening, and GD wasn't listening, so he answered.
I did not say answer with a soliloquy. I said yes or no.
Yes.
Yes, you do believe that people are going to school and having sex change. Children are going to school.
Wait, are you talking about going to school and having sex, or sex change?
Having sex change operations.
Because going to school to have sex is fun, but
no, yeah, that happened a lot, even when I was in school.
I mean, typically, like if I'm going to go for my BBL, I'm going to go to the nice elementary school that's a couple miles down the road. Like their surgery services are, I can't even explain the level of service that school offers. And then they have a whole garbage can with dicks and pussies laying in. I mean, you just pick one out of the can. It's nice.
Oh, they have bargain bin dick and pussy. That's great.
Yeah.
The preschool where I got my Botox done, they actually offer a full-on vaginal rejuvenation for new vaginy.
What did you have done to your buttocks?
A BBL.
He said he had his buttocks done.
Yeah, a BBL, Brazilian butt lift.
Stephen, what did you have done?
He just told you, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt, weren't you listening, Matt?
I had
Ron
vaginal.
just explained it.
I had Botox and then I had a vaginal
For
rejuvenation. For the new vagina I'm getting, I had them rejuvenate it before they install it.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yep. Yep.
That way you get a used one, but it's like new, and it saves you a lot of money.
Certified pre-owned. Low miles. Low miles.
And do you get has it been wrecked? I mean, has it been in any accidents?
I don't know if they were accidents. It looked like it may have been on purpose, but that's what the rejuvenation's for. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting inundated.
Look, as long as you know what you're getting, I think that's smart. You're saving money. I think you're smart.
I'm getting inundated with phone calls and text messages. I made the mistake of taking part in surveys, which are like polls, but they're text polls. But now I'm getting, like, even this morning, they started like 6 o'clock this morning, constant phone calls and texts all day long.
There's nothing worse than receiving a poll and then they just keep calling afterwards.
Well, I didn't mind, but now I'm too busy now. But before, I used to answer my phones because I wanted to be heard. But then the questions are just so. Sometimes I was just like Matt. It's like they ask a question. I said, "That's the wrong question. That's not what you should be asking. What you need to ask is, I'm sorry, sir. This is what I have. This is what they give me. That's a misleading question. No, you can't answer that truthfully. No."
All right. But so seriously, without getting stupid and going for low-hanging fruit and retarded fucking jokes that you always do, can we ask? So far, we haven't seen anybody in the chat room respond to the question. Yes or no? Sex changes? Because I believe that there are lots of people on the right who actually believe that story, or they're just so refusing. What I'm getting at here, they just refuse to call a lie a lie. And the question is, why make up that lie if you don't believe it's true? What is it, and retell it and tell it over and over again? Does anybody out there believe? Seriously, do you believe there are sex change operations going on at school without the parents' consent? Even just, hey, we don't. Your kid says he wants to be a girl. Well, we're going to change him into a girl and send him home. I want the audience to actually comment on that. And then when they say yes, then I have to send the psych team.
Just curious, can you see Rumble and Twitch? I mean, what can you see the other platforms as well?
I have to log in there to see it, but nobody.
I'm just saying, you may not know if they're like somebody on Rumble right now is going, yeah, I witnessed it. I performed this.
I would get an email that they commented. So far, no comments on Rumble.
Okay.
So far, nobody wants to even answer that. It's a simple yes or no question. Well, why is it so hard to answer? Can we get a no from? I mean, it should be easy if you're on the no side. If you're on the yes side, I could see how it might be difficult to admit. If you're loyal, like Mikey, he cannot bring himself to say one negative thing about Trump. And this is where it becomes a cult, because I have never, ever been behind any politician where I could not admit that they've made mistakes or said something wrong or done something wrong. And if you can't even bring yourself to say, he's fucking wrong about this, then you're in a cult. There's no two fucking ways about it. If you are afraid to call out something that is blatantly a lie or a mistake, then you're giving your loyalty complete, sworn an oath to the Messiah, or afraid of the backlash that your other cult members might bring upon you. So that's why I'm asking this question. Anybody willing to say no? Anybody, especially on the right, willing to say no? That's a made up story. Not one of them. Not one of them. Here we go. And I know we have Trumpers listening right now. I mean, with 1,300 people on the radio listening right now, one of them has to be a Trumper.
Yeah, but the radio people aren't going to be able to comment, right?
If they're driving, probably not.
Well, they can. You'll probably yell at the radio. They'll go.
No,
yes.
there is for on the iHeartRadio and on the website and all that. There's a message app. It's not part of the chat room, but I would get a single
ding.
Ding. Yeah, ding. You got to comment. None of that. Ding. Nobody's willing to say yes or no.
Okay, guys, you need to comment because Matt is missing his ding. So please, ding Matt.
I'm missing my ding. Yeah. Right. All right. So this doesn't look like Dalton Packin is going to show up. Is that a surprise? When do you want to do this, man? When do you want to do this, man?
I tried to find on social media where Dalton Packin was. There was
couldn't find it?
There was nothing on TikTok, at least on.
No, he's on TikTok. I found his TikTok channel.
Really? My phone didn't find it. I
didn't put it in the link. There's a link in there. In the description on YouTube, underneath Dalton Packin, there's sometimes comedian, sometimes ranter. It says TikTok.com/breadcrumbs911.
Okay, I typed in his name and it was okay.
Well, if you Google Dalton Packin, that's what comes up. That's how I found it. Okay. Anyway, I think maybe he listened to the first 3 minutes of the program and said, "This guy's going to be mean to me. I'm not coming on there."
Yeah, I was going to be mean, but I was going to look for specific reasons to be mean. I was going to.
Don't you have a? No, come on, let's be honest here. And don't you have a specific reason to be mean when this guy's calling himself a comic, and he's never been on a actual stage in a performance setting? He's been on TikTok. I don't think that
just popped in and out real quick in the chat in the green room.
Really?
No, that
was Jonathan leaving.
That was Jonathan leaving.
Oh, okay.
But don't you have a problem with that? Calling yourself a comic, like calling myself a musician, but I've never performed for anybody but my family.
I don't even like it when actual comedians have the word in their name.
Right.
If Steven said, "I'm Steven the comedian," I say, "Okay, I'm sorry, no respect."
No, you did. When Steven first came on the program, you were actually angry about he had sitcom in his moniker there.
Sitcom. Well, no, I understand sitcom. That to me, that's clever.
I played back the tape where you said, "Fuck this guy, fuck this guy." I hate people who have to identify as comedians in their name. You did say that.
I do believe that people who identify as comedians, I think that, fuck.
But you assume that was before you knew Steven was, what he is. He's kind of second base over there.
Well, like I said, I think it's clever. So it makes sense.
Now you think it's clever, but then you were angry. You were ready. You wanted to go to Indiana or wherever the fuck, India.
Indiana.
India. I think you lived in India.
No.
You wanted to go wherever he was and beat the living shit out of him and paralyze him. That's what he said. I'd like to beat him so he's stuck in a chair. And then you saw he was stuck.
That's how I know you're making shit up because I'm not going to spend money to go.
Now that part I didn't. I will cop to that. I am not spending money. That part I made up. But we played back the day. You were angry. You were angry.
No, I was not angry.
You were.
No.
Steven, do you remember how long ago?
I do. He not only was he angry, but after the show he sent me several messages saying, "I swear to God, if you come back, and then I had to test him, and then
But that's free. Sending messages is free. I'm not driving to India. Yeah, I'm not doing
that. I said I made that part up. I pled guilty to exaggerating.
I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to you.
Of course, you never listen.
Just because my wife is brown doesn't mean it's India, sir. That's racist.
I know.
I thought it was curry.
I love curry.
Here's a question for you, because now we have all this fucking time and no guests here. When you want to do this, man? I want to do it now, man.
Now.
Puerto Ricans.
Do it live.
Puerto Ricans. They can't vote. They can't vote in Puerto Rico because they don't have electoral college. They have no electorates in Puerto Rico, but they're U.S. citizens. So the question, and I don't know the answer to this, maybe you do, this is why I'm asking. Do they have to live in a state, or can they just visit a state and vote? They are U.S. citizens. Can they
I believe they have to live in a state because they have to be registered there to vote.
Oh, that's a good assumption.
I thought they voted. They just didn't have.
Well, like my mother-in-law,
they can't vote in presidential elections because they can vote for the governor. They can vote, but they cannot vote because they have no electors. Now, Washington, D.C. was in the same boat until I think it was like 30, 40 years ago or something, where Washington, D.C. didn't have electors. And if you lived in D.C., you could not vote for president.
Yeah, my mother-in-law said she couldn't vote for president until she moved here.
Right, move. So now this is the other. It's too late for them to. How long do you have to be? Because couldn't you just?
Oh, that I don't know.
And just declare residence here, because they are U.S. citizens. So I could just say I moved to Indiana. I got here on Wednesday. I want to vote on Tuesday.
Well, like if you move at the wrong time, you end up not being able to vote unless you go back to where you were registered to vote, right? Like if you moved to California in the wrong time and you're registered in Michigan, you'd have to go back to Michigan, right?
I don't know.
And they would also have to produce some type of ID to show that they actually live in the U.S. So it's not like they can say,
California. This is what I'm saying. Come from Puerto Rico, get a furnished room, rent a furnished room, put down like a month's rent on it.
Maybe an electric bill.
Even with your whole family. I moved my whole family into a furnished room, and me and the wife are registered to vote now. Can we vote? I don't know.
I mean, that might work in California where you don't need voter ID.
You do need voter ID to register.
Well, to register, yeah, but
right, you don't, and you can't vote unless you're registered. So you need ID to register.
Yeah.
That's just.
Which is why I think you'd have to live here probably to do so.
Right.
Live here and be registered. Yeah.
Now, on TikTok this morning, there was a video of a guy wearing a Trump hat at the poll, and the pollsters, poll workers, asked him to take the hat off. He started a fight, of course.
Right.
What else is new?
Because you're not supposed to wear campaign crap inside.
Obviously. Now, that's a rule. But as I brought up the other day, and early voting, it was just a sea of red hats and fucking Trump flags. They were actually with their Trump banners online to vote. Nobody was doing anything about it.
Were they inside or were they outside?
They were waiting. They were online around the building, but nobody was. It's still the same principle.
Yeah, there is a zone. There is like a zone. I don't know what the footage is. At least around where we are, there's a footage where you cannot campaign inside.
Yeah, I was going to say here it's like 100 or 200 feet from the door.
Well, this went straight up to the door.
Start and everything.
It started at the door and went like a half a mile up to the main highway.
Well, like I said, it's not about the laws. It's about who's enforcing them.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think on election day, I'm going to wear my shirt. All it says on it is "Nobody knows that I'm a lesbian." That's what I'm going to wear. I think.
I knew that. Did you guys not know he was a lesbian?
I did.
I knew he acted. Yeah, I knew he was an actor. I've seen him.
Hey,
three people know I'm a lesbian. Try changing your fucking shirt around. 3 people know I'm a lesbian.
I have a video from Russia, apparently, of a sewer line breaking, and
video. Something just happened. That's my description of what
it was muted, so nobody could hear anybody talking. So if you're listening, what you missed was a giant shit geyser coming out of the ground in Russia, roughly as tall as what? Well, that building was 20 stories, 10 stories. I mean,
yeah, but that's optical illusion, though.
It doesn't matter. I like to imagine a 20-story fountain of shit. Reminds me of Willy Wonka.
Oh, is that why? Something. What was whatever? Something from Monty Python was trending last night on Twitter. Maybe that was. Could that be? I couldn't. Oompa Loompa was trending, and I couldn't figure out why. Maybe that's why.
Somebody
a bunch of Russian midgets got covered in shit.
Oh, I know. There was playing Russian tongue singers or something. There's a group of Russian tongue singing, and it's stupid. They just they're harmonizing, but they're using sounds that they make with their tongue like this.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah. And when I first saw that, I said, that looks like a Monty Python bit. It does not seem like it would be like, that's something you see like a Monty Python. You just have them standing in line, just making those sounds.
That's how I got my wife to go on a date with me. I just looked at her from across the room and was just going, and she was like, okay. Yeah,
does anybody? Oh, it's bottle time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Oh, well, we added a little sound effect. Well, who did that sound effect? Somebody did that sound effect. Wow, not bad. I thought it was added to their film. We sent it back to George Lucas for re-editing.
It's got to go to post.
The only thing missing now is the Danny Elfman soundtrack.
And a Wilhelm scream in there somewhere.
Now, do you guys answer the door today with the trick or treat?
Well, I have to answer the door. I'm expecting somebody to come by there to do preventive tune-up on my heating system before the fall hits, before the winter hits.
We'll probably be out trick-or-treating, but I do plan on passing out razor blades at some point. So,
but that wasn't really the question. I meant, are you the person in your house that is going to deal with the fucking pain in the ass on the front?
Yeah, that would be me. That would be me.
Are you a nice guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at you with your cute little outfit.
I put the candy in my urn. I go to the door with my urn. I have my candy in my urn, and I wear a mask. And then now I'm going to preface this by saying, in the 3 years we've been here, we've only had one trick or treater. So,
wow. Here's what I do. I stick a bunch of lollipops in my underwear, and I say, "Here, kids, grab one." That's what I do. Is that wrong?
Probably.
I would. Did I not do that?
Depends on the jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. GD, you should take the urn to the door if somebody comes and be like, "Here, ask Grandma for candy."
Yeah, you have to earn it.
Yep.
You have to earn it.
You have to earn it.
we use that one. We use that one. Yeah.
All right. I know I'm really not a nice guy. I'm basically get the fuck out of here, kid. In the past, I didn't even. I put the candy outside. Didn't even bother letting them knock on the door. Just leave a fucking big bowl out of it and let them fight over it. And that's always interesting to watch. Like kids fucking just trying to take it all.
Just put one king size candy bar in the bowl and watch them go at it.
I like your thinking. Maybe I should do that.
Or have one king size and a bunch of minis. It's okay.
I would like to make believe I'm not home, but they're going to see me when I have to go out to. I have to drive the length of Long Island to go do a show today, so I can't really pretend I'm not home. They're going to spot me leaving, and then I'm dead. So I just, as if election day wasn't enough anxiety for me, I have to deal with Halloween.
And you're the only one.
Well, it is all about me, isn't it?
It is coffee with the dog.
I'm saying it in my house. My wife is constantly saying, it's not all about you, right? It's not all about you. And
no, it is all. No, you're wrong. It is all about me. That's how I would answer your wife. No, you are wrong. It's all about me.
Oh, I don't think it's all about me to begin with.
He said,
I'm sorry, Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
Have you seen the clips of a lot of the comics trying to dance around, like trying to defend Tony Hinchcliffe, but at the same time not completely defending him? It's quite a dance that's going on in the world of comedy right now with some of those comics.
There's been so many people commenting on it. It just it's overwhelming, all the different kind of perspectives that people are taking on it. I'm so tired of Hinchcliffe and all this stuff. But some people, he has this domestic abuse charge from 4 years ago that people are trying to dig up all the facts on and all that stuff. This is cancel culture at work. Like, let's get him. Let's look in his past now, see what we can find out about where Tony Hinchcliffe has done and where he's been. What can we use against him now? I'm not for that. What I would really like.
That's his brand. It doesn't matter what they find out about him, unless there's a video of him stepping on the heads of puppies. There is
a video of him stepping on heads of puppies.
Then he's got to go.
It's on his OnlyFans.
Well, yeah. Well,
is he hiding until after Election Day? Because I think there's a part of him that is very concerned that if Trump loses PA and it's because of something like that, I mean,
he would be the target.
They will turn on him quickly. They will turn on him.
I mean, I still think I feel like he's still going to come out and be like, "I did it on purpose."
No. I don't think because there's still a lot of Puerto Ricans that are still behind Trump, and so the people that are in his corner, nothing you're going to do is going to shake that. So if maybe 2 to 3% of the Puerto Ricans didn't have their mind made up and switched their vote or something. Well, actually, they hadn't made a mind up. They're not switching their vote. But
I know a lot of Puerto Ricans who weren't even offended by the joke or really any of it. So I mean, a lot of them just didn't care.
What they identify with being garbage?
No. But the one Puerto Rican comic that who's a friend of mine had posted that his assumption was that Tony Hinchcliffe was making a joke about their landfill situation because they are essentially I know. But he's Puerto Rican and he's not Hinchcliffe is not that deep, no. But
yeah. And Tony Hinchcliffe's response to that, his justification for the joke was kind of like, I can't be racist. I got a black friend. It's like, I vacation in Puerto Rico. I think it's a lovely place. Like, come on.
Here's the thing. If the Hinchcliffe joke, I don't even that statement. If his commentary, whatever it is, that should be like so minuscule compared to what Trump actually did to Puerto Rico during Hurricane Marie.
Nobody has been better to the Puerto Rican people than me. No one.
Yes, that's Trump's response. That's Trump's response. Nobody's been. So if his treatment of the Puerto Rican people did not sway them, I don't expect the joke to this Tony Hinchcliffe's comment to. I mean, I was disgusted with Trump as being a representative of our government, treating fellow citizens that way, or treating anybody that way.
Yeah.
But denying them aid when they needed it, and then when you finally show up,
Laurie Kilmartin found somebody. Let me see if I can find out.
But no matter what happens, if he loses Pennsylvania, Tony will take that. He will probably take that hit.
I totally agree. He will become
also North Carolina. There's like a few. There's quite a few, like 500,000 Puerto Ricans in those swing states. I think actually probably more than that.
I can't. Well, whatever. I don't. I just doesn't seem like a popular destination. And, New York City has a lot of Puerto Ricans, but I can't. I've never been. I just can't imagine them being around. Laurie, there's one Nicky Jam. I don't know who's I guess a Puerto Rican rapper or something.
Yeah.
He came out and he said that was he was a Trump supporter. Voted for him twice, no more now, he was saying. And Laurie Kilmartin says, so Trump's response to Hurricane Maria was not disrespectful enough for a guy, but the joke that a comedian, not even Trump, told that it was enough to change this guy's mind. That's pretty fucking bizarre. Like, he can shit on you all day long for 8 years, but it's a joke that a comedian at this rally said that changed your mind. That's just that's a bizarre state of affairs right there.
Yeah,
yeah. But so I think the joke did turn a lot of Puerto Ricans against him. I don't know if enough to make a difference, but do you think?
Well, yeah, I honestly believe that it can make a difference, especially when you look at the margins. Was Trump won? Biden won a lot of those states by what, 10,000 votes, 15,000 votes, 30,000 votes, 11,000 votes. Hillary lost by some of those same margins. You're talking not even a percentage or 2 percentage points of the Puerto Rican population in those swing states.
Yeah, so, but the real implication is, though, if he loses that state, Tony will take the blame.
Right. Well, this is where I'm interested. Now, Stephen, you're a big Tony fan still, even though he insulted your wife and all her family.
Personally insulted your wife. Called her out by name.
Right. Did you watch Monday? Was there a Kill Tony Monday night this week?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what did he say anything on?
Well, they're recorded weeks out, so they're
they're not live. I thought some of them were live.
So if you listen to it, you can listen to it or purchase to view it live. But if not, it's like 6 weeks back or 4 weeks back or something like that. That's on YouTube.
So the question is, so nobody who watched it live, none of those people who pay to watch it live have commented about what Tony might have said or not said about it this week.
No, I'm friends with a few people that go to Kill Tony weekly, and they said it was all normal.
So know Willie?
No. I mean, yes, but no, that's not who I'm talking about. No.
Y'all would think that with all the shows you and Willie did together, or planned to do, or at least said you were going to do.
They're not signing an NDA. None of these people watching it are coming out and saying, "Wow." So he must not have said anything. That's my. I'm sorry, Ron. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, even if they did do it live that night. I mean, he's not going to say anything at this point. I mean, he's in a safe space down there in Austin, but considering how volatile it is on every end, on the left end and on the right end, he doesn't want to touch that.
I can't see how he could actually do a show and not comment on it at this point. Some people would have to ask. I mean, I just can't see how you can just say, well, we're not talking about that.
Well, what'll happen is, when it finally does, he'll make some comments like, "Oh, I did this," and it'll be like, "Ah, ha, ha." And
my assumption is it'll probably be brought up on Kill Tony or one of the podcasts he goes on. It'll be talked about. If it's talked about on Kill Tony, it's because somebody's gonna make a joke about it, and it'll come up. It'll be mentioned for a second and be left alone. Just like when people come on and they occasionally will make jabs at Peng Dang. The Peng Dang situation.
It's also beneficial for him not to say anything because for damage control, and he's going to try and monetize this. So he's not going to say anything. He'll have to save it for like fucking Joe Rogan. He'll go on Rogan and Rogan will be like, "Oh man, you went through it with the guy being cancer." And we'll get that narrative. And yeah, you can already see how that's going to play out on their end.
Vance is supposed to go on Rogan, right?
Well, I mean, when Trump got on there, it immediately started out with him being like, "Man, they've been working on you and coming after you like nobody I've ever seen before."
And that was bullshit.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, even that Trump interview with Rogan, that didn't really move the needle. Yeah, it's for Trump's audience. That's why it got a lot of views. That's his people. Other than that, most people don't give a shit. It's a 3-hour rant about nothing.
But to Steven's point, Rogan came out kind of kissing his ass. Boy, when they found out you were running for president, that's when they started all changed on you. And that was a lie because he said he was on The View and they all kissed and they were all being nice to you. He wasn't even on The View. He was on by telephone. So nobody kissed him. Nobody was shaking his hand. No, all that stuff that Rogan said didn't happen. And then they were being highly critical of him because of his speech when he came down from the escalator. And they were all bringing that up and throwing that in his face and not letting him answer like with the weave. Whoopi stopped him a couple of times. We're short on time. Just answer the fucking question, fucking wig boy. She didn't put it that way. But so Rogan's take on that. But here's the thing. Rogan also was beating on Trump pretty hard before he made his switch over. Prior to COVID, Rogan was talking about how he's a speed addict and all this stuff and really being negative on Trump. So if he's saying they all came at you as a part of a concerted effort, well, Joe, were you part of that concerted effort?
Well,
you were part of that.
Joe's super. I don't know where he's even getting his dates from because the clip that he's referencing is from 2011. Before he mentioned presidency or anything, he was on there talking about his TV shows and everything. Right. He wasn't even doing anything about politics. That's why they were being nice to him. He wasn't President Trump then. He was just Donald Trump.
Yeah, but he was on politics in 2015 when he was on, and this was what Rogan said. But that he was on by phone. And they didn't all fucking kiss.
Yeah,
Barbara
the clip
wasn't even still on the show at the time.
The clip that he plays on his show regularly that he references, though, that he claims is 2015 is 2011.
Oh, so he's trying to mislead anyway from all that stuff.
Because even Whoopi Goldberg came out and said that the episode that he's referencing is from 2011, and they said at that point he was just Donald Trump. He wasn't anything else.
He was, and this is part with Jonathan I wanted to bring up. The stuff with the birtherism was making half of the country love him for all that stuff, the birth certificate stuff, and half the country, people like me, were thinking this guy's just a fucking buffoon. He went on the day Obama was releasing his birth certificate, and he did not even know this. He wasn't aware of this. At Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, which is like a really small airport, he held a press conference saying that he would give $5 million to anybody that could produce Barack Obama's birth certificate. At the same time, Barack Obama was producing his birth certificate, and it kind of took the wind out of his sails. But it's like, if you're a billionaire, $5 million is a fucking drop in the bucket. If you're serious about this, make it $100 million. Come on, you're just a fucking buffoon. So there were people like me.
It doesn't matter how much money it was. He was never going to pay it anyway. He could have said $10 trillion. He wasn't going to pay it anyway.
But it just it felt like $1 million, you know, just so you're not even factoring in inflation and what a million, or 5 million means in today's world. If you're going to be a billionaire and offer this big thing for proof, make it substantial. You know, not that I would poo-poo $5 million if somebody wanted to give it to me. But he became a buffoon then, and hopping on the birtherism stuff was long before he ran for president, but that was turning people against him in a big way too. So, and yeah, whatever. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. The wife issue. They're all kind of getting on. Charlie Kirk saying that is women betraying their husband. Their husband works hard to give them a great life, and then they go and vote for Harris with that on the secret, on the sly. Jesse Waters said that is a betrayal of marriage vows. That is a betrayal of the sanctity of marriage, and it's divorce day.
Is he actually married? Is he somebody who actually does he know what the wedding contract says?
Well, yeah, Jesse, still talking about betrayal of marriage. He was married, and his current wife was his, not an apprentice, some like administrative assistant that he stalked at work, and he gave her a flat tire so she couldn't leave work. I mean, this is how he got his current wife. The whole story about this. He went out and took the air out of her tire so she couldn't leave. And while he's married, his wife is home and he's cheating with his administrative assistant there, who is his current wife. So sanctity of marriage stuff. He shouldn't even be going there. But they're all doing this now. The entire MAGA punditry is talking about wives who betray, and there's a commercial Julia Roberts just put out in favor of, she's obviously a Harris person, and she's kind of making it like she's cheating on her husband while selecting Harris Walz on the docket on the ballot. But yeah, this is the big thing now. It's like wives who are deceiving their husbands by secretly voting for Harris. I wish my wife would not have told me who she's voting for. I wish she wouldn't, because I would feel we'd be getting along a lot better. Just let me put
she
it
could
that
still
way.
secretly vote for her. This is just her way of getting rid of you. She's actually going to vote for Harris. She's just trying to get rid of you.
Hey, I do have a couple of showbiz stories if you want to do that.
Thank God. No, she's not trying to get rid of me, because she's had plenty of. I was out the door several years ago, and I got begged to stay. And the fact that I'm the only one paying bills here. She's not trying to get rid of me. Without me, there is no here. So, yeah, let's do showbiz. What the fuck? Do you know where showbiz went? Anybody know where showbiz went? Oh, here.
And now, bringing you the latest in entertainment news from Hollywood, New York, and East Bumfuck, Montana. Here's our chief entertainment correspondent, Ron Kane. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showbiz.
Hey everybody, it's showbiz. Happy Halloween, and make sure you eat all the candy you want and overdose on whatever you feel necessary.
For people on the radio, we're looking at Donald Trump in this orange vest. Have you guys ever seen a garbage man, a trash collector, wearing an orange vest like that?
Well, not until now, but he's a different kind of garbage man.
Yeah. I don't know who told them that's the uniform. And you've never seen a trash collector wearing a tie. I think
no.
In my neighborhood, they do. It's actually, it's a very restrictive neighborhood. They have to wear a tie. It's very formal.
All right. So this is Tom York. He is the lead singer of Radiohead. He's currently on a solo tour, and he was in Australia, and he left the stage mid-concert because of his support of Israel, and there were protesters in the audience which bought tickets to see Tom York solo. So I don't know what they were doing in their life. I mean, they actually bought tickets to see Tom York solo to protest him.
Looks like more like Mr. Miyagi with Tim Pool's hat, to be honest with you. But explain what his support of Israel entails. Like he thinks Israel has the right to basically
support. He's supporting genocide, and the typical talking points for that.
Wow, they get behind that. I've never seen. Well, maybe I have. Just people actually come out and say, yeah, because generally it's like they don't admit that it's they're trying to kill off everybody on the other side. They're kind of playing that down. He's saying he go all in that. Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to.
Yeah, this is what happened from footage from the concert goers captured by a man yelling in the crowd at him. They couldn't hear the full comments, but the guy said the Israeli genocide of Gaza, and then referred to the death toll, saying that half of them were children. York responded, "Come up here and say that. Right here, come on, hop up on the fucking stage and say what you want to say. Don't stand there like a coward. Come here and say it. You want to piss on everybody's night?" Then the protester yelled out, "How many dead children will it take for you to condemn the genocide in Gaza?" Then Tom York just said, Okay, you do it. See you later then, and walked off stage.
Wow.
But then
so
he did
basically the people who go to his shows are the same people who show up in the chat room yesterday.
Yeah. So he did return to the stage and did one more song to wrap up the night, and did.
You know why he supports the murder of children? You know why?
Because he's
everyone needs a hobby.
No, he's a creep.
Oh, creep.
Makes sense.
He don't belong here.
Oh.
He wishes he was special.
All right, so let's move on. This is Joe Exotic. I'm still proud to say I have never watched Tiger King.
Wow.
And, yeah, and I'm still proud of that fact because it just makes me better than most people. But anyway,
Yeah,
Joe Exotic
on your tombstone. Here lies Ron Kane. Never watched Tiger King.
So apparently Joe Exotic is getting married to Jorge Marquez in prison. And the reason I took that ad where it says Kamala. That one made me laugh.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I snipped that because I love that terrible name.
Lying, no fracking. What the fuck does that mean?
Lying on fracking.
Yeah, lying on fracking.
Lying on
yeah,
fracking.
I put it upside down for a reason. It's just
yeah, I don't read well upside down. But here's now not watching Tiger King, you would not know this, but he had a boyfriend, like a meth head boyfriend who had like 2 teeth left. But in the show, he was butt fucking this young man.
Oh.
And the guy came out after the show, after the show was like getting talked about. The guy said he wasn't even gay. He was just letting Joe butt fuck him and blowing Joe just for the mess. Like he wasn't even really gay. He was just so hard up for drugs that he was pretending to be gay. I don't know if that flies. You can pretend to be gay, but once a guy's fucking you in the ass, I think you can't claim pretending anymore. Once you're sucking his cock and swallowing it.
No, I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So the Oscars are switching from CBS to ABC, and ABC is paying the Oscars $500 million for this 10-year contract for them to air the Oscars.
What does Celine Dion have to do with that?
Nothing. It's just the picture. So if you're interested, the Oscars now will be on ABC instead of CBS. And this marks the first time in 50 years that the Oscars will be on a different television.
So now I'll have to not watch it on another network. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since Live and Let Die. McCartney won an Oscar for Live and Let Die, the soundtrack to a James Bond movie in the 70s. That was the last time I watched the Oscars. But with her, I don't know if you're aware, she's got a lip sync. Apparently her thing at the Olympics was lip synced. People thought it was a live performance. Are you aware of that?
It's not
Celine Dion. Well, I guess she has some sort of medical thing going on.
Right, yeah, she does have a medical thing. But there was like supposed her comeback performance, and people were hailing it as a live singing, incredible live performance, but she mimed it. I don't know, on for the singing people. They're harping on that. It's a big thing. Whitney Houston Star Spangled Banner too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is John Krasinski, however you say his last name, Krasinski.
Right. He doesn't even know how to say his last name.
Yeah, he's coming back to Amazon as Jack Ryan. They're going to do a Jack Ryan movie. There was a television series for 4 years that ran, and it was very popular. It was like their third most streamed show. And so if you're interested in Jack Ryan, it's coming back to Amazon.
And what if you're not interested in Jack Ryan?
Then don't fucking watch it.
Oh, I thought then it wasn't coming back to Amazon. I thought if I wasn't interested, it wasn't happening.
Yeah. So this isn't really showbiz, but I thought it was fun to mention. So apparently hackers took control of robot vacuums in multiple cities and make vacuums yell racial slurs and chase dogs. I like a story like this because these things are mentioned from time to time when it comes to like privacy and security of who has access to all these devices in your home and how easily they are accessible from an outside hack. There's been talk about shit like this when it comes to autonomous driving too. Like who is going to own the network? And do you know if that network is protected and can someone hack it and take control of cars and make them weapons? So I just thought this was an interesting story.
I didn't know vacuums could talk. I didn't know that was a part. They've advanced. I was just thinking about those things that basically would just crash into the walls and kind of. They've advanced a lot. Now they talk to you, vacuums.
Matt, where do you think the sound comes from when it goes? They have to be able to talk. It's just
anything that can go, it can talk.
Well, if it can make noise, if it can make vocal noises, it can talk. It's just a matter of evolution.
It's not a vocal noise.
It's a vocal noise.
So how many times does your vacuum call you a racial slur then, GD?
Oh, please. We have a Dyson. That thing calls every time. Matter of fact, we have constantly having pissing contests.
How great would it be though if that vacuum was just coming up to you and saying stuff? It's like, oh, it looks like I do all the work around here.
Chasing dogs is slightly amusing, but I would use it to chase chickens, obviously. But the yelling part. Now I could see like they build in a speaker and it would sound like Alexa. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question when you ask it. Ask Alexa, where can I get a blowjob? I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. But I can't imagine it yelling, because to yell you gotta have a diaphragm to yell, right?
Well, I don't know. I know that the Dyson yells at me. It, basically likes to call me Benson and other, black butlers, names of other black butlers.
Jeez.
Yeah, I like to with Alexa, you can send voice messages over it, and I love doing that to my wife. I'll just send her, put something on there just out of the blue, like take your fucking pants off or some shit like.
Now I was on a show. I was on a virtual show a couple weeks ago, and there was another guest on there. Her name was Sherry, and every time the host would say Sherry, his Siri would kick in and start talking to him. He would say, "So Sherry," and then Siri goes, "I'm sorry, I did not catch that question." He goes, "No, not you, Siri."
Fucking Siri.
So there we go. Yeah, I thought that. Then here we go. Enjoy the suffering, everybody, on your Halloween. I figure there's been a lot of talk about trash this week, so why not?
That took me a second to get that picture. I thought that nose, I thought it was actually a foot from the backside, like that was a heel, and it, and then there was like the big toe and the little, I thought it was the back rear shot of a foot and a leg. But now I see.
So, are you going to check yourself into a home today, or will you be waiting till somebody drives you and institutionalizes you? Because there is definitely a perception problem on your end, and when I say on your end,
yeah. Well, the doctor's going to take a look at that.
All right, so I look forward to seeing what I'm going to where Rosemary was, but I'm pretty sure she's dead. So maybe you could. She was
my last friend. She was my last friend in New York.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe her bed is available and you might want it.
Oh, okay. Speaking of friends in New York, like I said, we need to, if I'm coming up there that weekend of November 16th or 15th, we need to, because I don't want to go up there and Jackie says, "Who the fuck are you? Get away from my house." It's
This is me to make sure that I'm actually invited.
No, he knows what you look like. He'd say, "Oh, come on in. I got weed. Everybody loves my weed. Try some of my weed." And you go, "What am I smoking? Your socks? What the fuck is this?" All right. Are we ending this early? Because it feels like we are. It just feels like packing.
It's a dreary day out, man.
Salt and packing. When you want to do this, bro, we'll probably show up in about an hour or so.
Yeah. Well, it's dreary here. It's raining. It's gross.
Pretty shitty here too. Pretty shitty.
It's really. I really didn't even want to get out of bed this morning. Honestly, I looked out the window and I was like, ugh.
So why did you? Well, you could have done
because
this.
I could have, but I really enjoy your guys' company, and I.
Well, I think Ian was on a program, my nighttime program, about a month ago when I had a woman who was on the show from her bed. And it was 8 o'clock at night. She was just too lazy.
I mean, here's the thing. I've done shows from the hospital bed, so after doing that, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, no, that she has a hospital bed in her house. I should.
Oh,
say
I
that.
see. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say, if a chick just wants to call in her bed, that's cool.
Chevelle says it's beautiful here. I guess he's saying Lindenhurst. Oh no, his office isn't in Lindenhurst. I don't know. Not here.
Did you see that me and Michael agreed on something earlier? Hell froze over for a second.
What was it? What was that? You both don't like Ron?
No, it's about MAGA. About MAGA.
He said I agree. The MAGA movement created the cult-like following, and then it was followed up with this.
Oh, and did that hug take place? I don't know. Oh, so
in my mind.
He's in Huntington now. Huntington, I don't know if you're aware of this. Huntington is like a mini Manhattan now. It would probably be a big city in Indiana. Huntington would be like the Indianapolis. That's how big it is now. It's
how many people are in Huntington?
Oh, I don't know.
Right
7
now?
million. Well, let me see. Population of Huntington, New York. Let's look it up while you guys jerk each other off.
Okay.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not doing that. So
now, did you see the Andrew Tate thing? Because some people are saying it's fake. I'm pretty sure
what now?
It's not fake. He said that every alpha male needs a circle of trusted males that can jerk him off or blow him, just to keep him from being distracted by women.
I saw that. It's probably true. We've got to get rid of Govs, by the way. It's after 11.
We said goodbye to them already.
Are you sure? It still looks like it's.
Yes, no, it doesn't. It's Rumble you're looking at. That doesn't.
It says Gov. It says Gov's election day